Hello, I'm John Bodie from the Office of Learning Skills at Mount Holyoke College. In the next few minutes, you're going to be watching a video of a workshop I ran for students on time management. But there's 3 points that I'd like to emphasize first. Number 1, time management is a skill. It's not something that you were born with. And therefore, you may need a coach, like your academic advisor, or your academic dean, or a professor. And secondly, you're going to have to practice it, just like swimming, or soccer, or any other skill. Secondly, it's not to be done perfectly. Life happens. But what it's really meant to do is help you to become more consciously aware of where your time is going. Because wherever your time goes, that's where your priorities are. So if your plan is actually fulfilled, then your priorities are actually getting met. And the third thing is that it's really meant to help you to balance your life, not to fit more and more things into your life. And so therefore, we really focus on balancing by adding not just academics, but also social life, fun, rewards. Our goal here is not to put women-crazed leaders out into the world. We have enough crazed leaders. What we really would like to do is put some women leaders out into the world who are grounded, who are more balanced in their life and in their interests. And that will help everyone. So remember, first, time management is a skill. Secondly, it is not to be done perfectly. And third, it's really meant to help you to balance your life. Time management, okay? If you had to deliver a piano from here to California, we couldn't fly it out. We have to get it to the University of California as quickly as we can. What would you do first?
Pack it and protect it.
Pack it, and then would we just jump in the truck and go?
No.
No, what would we do? And how would we do that? Google Maps. We'd pull up a map. Would you pull up a map of Massachusetts? No, what would you do? You'd pull it up of the United States. You'd get that big picture. And then maybe you'd start going, okay, now we have to focus on how to get out of Massachusetts, and then into New York, and then into wherever. I don't know how to get there actually. But, you know, you figure that out, right? And so you go from the broad to the specific. And that's sort of how we're going to go with time management too. We're going to go from the broad down to the very specific of breaking things into pieces. Okay? So the first step is the big picture. And the big picture is really a calendar of the semester. Now, if you look at the big picture, most of you have a big picture. If you look at the big picture, it's very sequential, right? Time is very sequential. It's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's very sequential. That's left brain processing, right? If you're walking around taking notes and stick-ems and post-its and lists and lists and lists that you have stuck all over the place, even on your forehead, right? That's also left brain processing. So if that's all you're doing around time, then you're using half your brain to organize the most important resource in your life, which is time. Okay? You have 168 hours in a week. That's it. That's all you got. So you really have to figure out how to use those to the best of your ability to balance your life. I'm not saying use 168 hours to work. I'm saying use 168 hours to balance your life and get your work done. To do that, you want to bring the right brain into it. What does the right brain like?
Art.
It likes art. It likes images, right? What else does it like?
Creativity.
Creativity. Pictures. It also likes color. And so if you look at the big picture, it's very sequential, but it's also very visual, right? And so the first assignment that I want you to do is, I want you to pick a color for each class, get colored pencils, and I want you to pull out your syllabi and write down all the major assignments on your big picture. Papers, projects, presentations, anything big, and anything big that's going to throw off your routine. So if you're in athletics, maybe a competition, right? And they come maybe every weekend. Or if your parents are coming up, and you know how needy parents can be. So if they're going to come up and you're going to have to take care of them all weekend, and they're going to have to take you out to all the fancy schmancy restaurants in Northampton, right? Maybe you're not going to get as much work done that weekend as what you can. Okay? So that's what we're going to do with the big picture. We're going to really take a look at that. And then what we'll do is we'll look at the ebb and flow of your semester. Where are your hot spots? Where do you have 3 or 4 assignments that are really big, that you're going to have to plan ahead and maybe even move some deadlines around, right? The second thing that I really like about the big picture is that you can break your semester down into pieces, right? The other thing around the big picture, besides the ebb and flow and breaking your semester into pieces, is also if you have some major assignments at the end. A lot of people forget them. You know, that 15-page research paper, that 10-minute presentation that you're going to do to your anthro class. And people sometimes wait until after Thanksgiving to really start them. That's not going to work. And so what's really great about the big picture is that it can help you to create preliminary deadlines that you can run into, so that before you go on fall break, maybe you need to have your topic approved and maybe your outline approved. Maybe by the time you go home for Thanksgiving, you have to have half the paper written, right? So that you're really planning ahead and creating those preliminary deadlines. So the big picture can really be a very good tool to keep you going all the way through the semester. Breaking things into pieces, creating some rewards for yourself, seeing where the ebb and flow, the hot spots are, and also really kind of breaking things down into preliminary deadlines if you have to. So the big picture is really important for that. Take a look at Sarah's big picture. As you can see, the big picture is very sequential, but also it's very visual. You can see the colors, you can see the visual images of the whole semester. It's really getting the right brain involved. The second thing is, it really shows you how your semester is going to flow. So take a look at Sarah's. Sarah has some things going on in the beginning of the semester, but then look at the hot spot that she has right before spring break. The 2 weeks before spring break are going to be very difficult for her, so she needs to space out her studying and also her work so that she can put some of that work up in this area, so that then when she gets to her hot spot, she's pretty much prepared. And also down in here, there's also some hot spots where she's going to have to be working a lot. Now also, one of the things that the big picture can help you to do is look at your final exam schedule and to really look to see if there's any major papers or projects that really need to be spread out over the course of the semester in terms of the work. And if you look at Sarah, she has an anthropology research paper that's due the last day of finals, and it's 12 to 15 pages of real research-oriented writing. So what I would recommend for Sarah is to really spread out some preliminary deadlines across the semester, possibly by the time she goes home for spring break, that she has all her research done and her topic pretty well set, maybe organization somewhere in here, and then somewhere in the middle of April, she needs to start writing it because she has so many things that are going on. She really needs to focus on the anthro research paper throughout the semester. And lastly, what the big picture can do, and it helps Sarah, is you can break the semester down into parts to help you motivate yourself better. To really look at this whole semester sometimes can be very tiring. But if you think, okay, I'm just going to look at the first half of the semester and really work towards that, sometimes that can really help in motivation. And then when you come back from spring break, then you can really motivate yourself around the second half of the semester. But that's important to think about these things as well then, the major papers or projects, and putting some preliminary deadlines up here. So that's the big picture of Sarah's, and as you can see, her semester is going to flow. She has a lot of work to do, but it can be manageable if she really pictures what she has to do with her hotspots, spreads her work out, maybe has preliminary deadlines, and then motivates herself around the first half of the semester and then the second half of the semester.